Hello, this session is about Google Forms, helping you to assess or teach your little ones or your struggling learners. You could use this for younger students that aren't very good at reading, or students that are just learning how to read, like English language learners, or even special education students, people that need visual supports. So this session we'll cover several things within forms, a little bit on slides, Google Sheets. My name is Monica Spillman, and I'm a Google certified educator and trainer. So I'd like to share a lot of things about Google, but not just Google, several things that would help you in your classroom. So this is the link to the slides, bit.ly, assess littles with forms. So let's get started. The big thing that inspired me to share this with you is that at this time when we're away from school due to the COVID-19, your parents are the teachers and they don't know how to be teachers. Some of them do, but some of them are really struggling. And any tool that will help the parents teach the students, keep them engaged, and actually maybe collect some evidence of the learning is going to be a big blessing to them. So anything we can do, I think they will thank you for these. So the first thing I want to show you, I'm going to tell you the examples and then we'll go through each one. There's a flipped classroom style where the Google form has the teaching embedded into it, and then as the students take in some like a video or some audio, then they get to answer questions, and you're taking them through your lesson through the form. The next thing is reteaching within a form, and I love this example, but it's a little complicated. It involves branching, but we have perfect support for you. There's a video of someone that totally taught it perfectly, so we're gonna go through that for just a minute. The next example is choose your own adventure, where really you're helping engage imagination with your content, just making it more fun as the students learn and are engaged with what you're trying to help them learn. And then the last one is using images within your questions so that your non-readers or your struggling readers or your beginning readers can answer according to what they see. So let's go through these examples one by one. The flipped classroom style, that's not a new concept, but your teaching and your check-in for understanding is all embedded into the form. And so it's a way you could take your entire lesson and create it into different sections of a form and teach your students. And at the end, once they submit it, you have your data and evidence of what their answers were, their misconceptions, that sort of thing. So you really have some good stuff to go back to. So here's an example. Matt Miller from Ditch That Textbook created a blog post, which is actually linked on the very last slide. So tons of resources for using forms, but I pulled out the ideas that pertained more to this group of learners that I was talking about, the strugglers or the new readers. So his flipped assessment idea is very simple. He only added one question, one example, but you could see how you could take this and just continue on down the form. So this is a video he embedded, and the students watch the video, and even if they can't read, they know what a YouTube link looks like. And so someone could be near them and say, okay, watch the video. I'll be back in a minute, read this question to you. Or if a screen reader is enabled on their device, they could read the question to themselves. If they had a voice typing option, they could click there and type their answer in. So one thing about embedding a video into your Google form is that sometimes they're pretty small. So the way to get around that is to enlarge the screen with Control++. You see the student can get the screen pretty big, and they can still watch the video. So it's actually playing, but I turned the sound off. So they can still watch the video, and then when it's over, they haven't gone to YouTube land unless they click here. They're right here at the end. So it just stops. So Control minus or reset here, and then they're back to the full view. So that's one way to make your videos within your form the right size. And you could even embed a little video in your in the beginning section of your form saying, as you watch this, make sure that you hit, Control ++ to make it bigger, Control -— to make it smaller. So that's a very basic example, but the flipped classroom type of assessment or even teaching would be great for you. Self-paced, just self-running. You put your items in as your lesson would go, and the students can work through it. And this works for any grade level, really. So the next idea is reteaching misanswers within the form. So it uses a pretty complicated process called branching, but you're able to differentiate for each of your students. It is complicated, but it's worth it, because if you build the template once, then you're able to make a copy and you're able to replicate it for any subject, any type of learner, any group. So let me show you. Someone named J.B. Friedrich shared about this last week in our PD, and she created a great video. So I'm not going to show the whole thing to you, but just a little bit. It's about 16 minutes long, I believe. And so you can see here that about 16 minutes long, she explains very clearly how to create a form where the questions will branch off if the student missed something, and then if they got it right, they can move on. And so there is, it's just a regular Google form. Let me make this bigger. And you can see that she has questions, question 1A, 1B. So if they get things right, then it goes another way. If they get it wrong, it goes another way. So she has destinations built into the form. Let me see if I can find the right. There it is. So if you'll see here, the question is answered. If it's correct, then it goes there. So it's kind of like an answer validation. But even though it looks very complicated, it's worth it, because like I said, it builds up a template. And so then you have your bones of any type of reteaching lesson. And so it will take the students all through the teaching. And the way that you reteach is that if they have to go back because they missed something, you add in a video or something like that, and then they have their reteaching, their whatever resource they need to learn it. So you can embed it in there. So that is called branching. So you're reteaching with a form with branching. So the next example also comes from Matt Miller, and he has created a very simple example of a choose your own adventure. So again, you could embed your teaching within this, but also assessment. They could do it, really couldn't do it together as we're out of school on this, unless they were talking to one another. Maybe you could have them answer the form as a team, and maybe they're on the phone together and answering and making their choices together. But the path changes according to their answer, just like, the little books we used to read when we were younger. So here's his very simple example. So he's created a story. Young Arthur has come of age to become a mage. And so this is obviously a math-focused lesson. So his first answer. So you have to answer this to go to the next level. So let's just choose the first answer. I think that's correct. And so, I'm pretty sure he drew this with his finger somewhere on a tablet. So you answer, you hit next. Okay. So you get the response. That was a correct answer. So now he's come across somewhere else, solve this equation. So if I just choose the first answer, I didn't take time to do it. See, he's here. This visual is just a nice connection to what the question says. Hit next, and then it says, so obviously I got it correct. I didn't do it on purpose. But watch, if I go back, let's say I get it wrong. So then it says wrong. You need to go back. And then what if I don't want to go back? I try to find another way. Hit next. And so this kind of takes you through, like I said, an adventure using your content. So in order for them to go along the path, maybe there might be 5 or 6 different outcomes that could happen, but you would be able to do that with this sort of choose your own adventure. And on his blog post, which, like I said, I have linked at the very end, there's links to how to do this, because it is a little bit complicated, but yet again, these are great templates you can use over and over again in your classroom. But it would be fun to create it because there's a lot of logic involved, but then it's also would be fun for your students to actually run through it. So the last example is answering by choosing an image for your non-readers or your struggling readers. So this is very basic, but most people don't know, or some people don't know, that you can add images into a Google form in order to make an answer choice. So with each question, you can add images. So this is obviously a multiple choice: apple, apples, or apples. So, which one is 3? So they were able to add a visual with each answer choice. So again, if there was a screen reader or an adult to read it, or even if you had the prompt with the number, like if you weren't assessing reading, if you just put a number 3, then you could, maybe the student would be able to figure out that you want the one that has 3. So lots of different ways you could customize it to your classroom. But in a minute, I'll show you how to create a form with these visuals. So those were the basic things that I wanted to share with you, ways that you could use forms to assess your students or to teach them. But the other way that I like to do assessments or reteaching is with slides. And so I just have a real basic example. I created this so that when my students were either their parents were late, they didn't pick them up on time, we could just flip through it on my phone or an iPad. So if you click on any of your document titles and then hit the eyeball, you can actually open it up without having to really open it, so it doesn't take up another tab. But I can flip through this on a Chromebook or on a device just very quickly, and I can play a game with it. Sometimes I would do this at the end of the day. We'd play swipe. So when the students would say the correct letter, then they could say swipe, and then we would swipe it to whatever direction they told me. And so if they said swipe left, I would swipe left. If I said swipe right, sometimes they would say swipe up, and so they would realize that wasn't going to work. So you can create slides that will. You could be sitting there with a notepad taking some anecdotal notes, or you could be just making some little notes about what they know, what they don't know, but they feel like they're playing a game, and so it's not as intimidating or kind of making students nervous that you're assessing them. So your Google Slides is a great way to create something that's like an assessment. So like if you sent one of these home, like say you wanted them to say what all the letters were, what order they are in the slide deck, you could get them to record themselves watching it and then send you a video of them answering the what it is, naming it, or reading the sight words, or naming the countries in Europe, or naming the capital, all the regions of Tennessee, or whatever your standard is. So a slide would be awesome for you to be able to assess your students. It's kind of low pressure. You can embed all kinds of things, but I made this one simple for the students. So once you are done with a form, then you get your data on a sheet. Let me show you first how to make a form. So I'm going to use a little quick link that Google has purchased. The ending .new works on a lot of things like docs.new, slides.new. So I'm going to do forms.new. So it will open a new Google form in my account here. And I'm going to call this form test. So usually whenever you rename a form, it also adds it here to the title. And so your forms can have all kinds of purposes. A lot of people put their I can statement, like I can create a form to assess and teach my students. We can do this, right? And so, the first question, have you ever used forms? And then if you type in, see, it has suggestions, yes, and then no. And then you can add that visual. So let's go to the next section, and I'll show you. You can use this as a check-in for your students of how they're feeling. So let's say, how do you feel about using forms? Why do I sound like a computer? All right, so you can do the image option. So here's an image that can go with the question. So you can do a Google search, and then you can put in the word Google. You can find that logo for Google Forms and put it there. And they usually come in huge. So all you do is click it and then drag the corners in, and it makes it smaller. So if you want that for the question, well, then you can use that. But if I don't want it for the question, then I can just tap here till the three dots come up, and then I can remove that, because I want the image to go with my answers. So have you ever used forms? I'm sorry, how do you feel about using forms? Okay, so if I want to say sad, I'm sorry, not sad. No, that wouldn't be sad. Worried. What's another one? Fine. Okay. So you can add an image to go with each answer, like they did with the apples. So let's do a worried emoji. We'll see that little guy's worried. So it's that's not too big. It's not bad. Let's see. Let's do one for fine. Let's see what it tells us if we do a Google search. Let's see. Feeling fine emoji. Oh, don't know what that's going to bring up. Feeling fine. I guess that's okay. You could reword it if you can't find something that goes with it. And then let's see. Okay, there might be a thumbs up. Those are kind of the same thing. Tell you what, let's just remove that one. Okay, so that's just two items. Another thing that would be very helpful is to put their name. So add a section, and it probably popped up on the bottom. So grab those 6 dots and drag it to the top. If it doesn't go to the top, then just drag the one at the top down. All right, so let's ask, what is your name? What is your name? Okay, and then it can be short answer. It's pretty intuitive. It tries to guess what it is that you are that you're trying to ask. So it's trying to help you get it done quicker. All right, so in order to test this out, or to quote unquote take this quiz, hit the little eyeball, and you can take this quiz. So what is your name? Let's say Monica. Have you ever used forms? Yes. How do you feel about using forms? Fine. And then submit. All right, so now you're here at the response. You can submit another response, but it's going to keep you in this sort of preview mode or view the form mode, the active live mode. So you have to just exit out of that and go back to this where you're creating it. So you have one response, and some people don't know where to find their responses. It's right there. You can see it in a visual format. So there's one response, and so it color codes it. But there's also a very useful spreadsheet that is that you can create with each form. So if you click, let me go back to that, I'll show you. So in responses, there's a little picture of a spreadsheet, the green icon. So if you already have a spreadsheet you want these answers to go to, you click select existing. But if you do not, then you hit create, because it's going to create a brand new one. It'll have the same name, but it'll have the word responses added to it, so you can sort of match the form to its response sheet. So now I have answers for 3 questions. So let me go back to my slideshow. I want to show you once you create your sheet, you have, sorry, this dot is driving me nuts. So once you create your form, you get your sheet, you your answers will show up time stamped. So something that you can do with your answers, if you would like to show data either to yourself or to maybe an administrator or even to the student, is to color code it. And so here's a link to a video, again, from Jamie Friedrich. Very well done, how to create this color coding for your form, and it is not hard. I'll show you just a quick example of it in a minute. So you can color code it. You don't have to, but you can. And then, so here's an example of what I did. I did this one for my pre-K students. I covered their names up, obviously, so you can't see, but you can see the students that have mastered numbers 1 through 30, even though pre-K only has to master 1 through 10, but these guys are overachievers. And so the data is very clear that, some people are missing certain numbers. Then also it's very clear that there are some people that are ready to move on. So I could use this for myself. I could say, look at us, we're doing great. I could take the names away. The colors are so helpful. Y'all know that. And then another thing you can do with a form is the choice eliminator, where you take, like say you want to schedule meetings with your students or schedule some FaceTime with your students or conferences with the parents. Choice eliminator takes out some of the options as they are used on your form. So, of course, parent-teacher sign-up, that's always a great example. It's something that you would add on to your Google form. So I'll show you how to do that. And the video, of course, right here, tells you exactly how to do that. It's made by a principal in California who, I guess he created it for his school, but it's a very good video, very simple to understand, and he walks through it. It's only 5 minutes, but once you practice this a couple of times, you shouldn't have any trouble creating these. So Choice Eliminator 2 is an add-on. So let me show you where to find add-ons. If you had, see, I don't have any add-ons. The add-on icon is a puzzle piece. I don't have any. So I go to these 3 dots and I do manage or do add-ons. So it looks like a puzzle. I guess they're piecing it together with your form. And then I'm going to look for Choice Eliminator 2, and there it pulls up. So there it is, and then I'm going to install it. And they always ask for permission because they're going to be either using your account or whatever. Let's see. Use that account. Make sure you use the correct account. All right. And as far as accounts go, I always make my picture different for different accounts so that if I see this picture of my hair all curled, I know that's Hamilton County. But if I see the other one with my hair straight, then I know that is my regular Gmail. Then I have another one for my classroom that I use for Google Voice, and that one has like a picture of an animal. So the different pictures could help you differentiate. Okay, so it is installed now. So let me get out of that. All right, so you should see, where's my puzzle piece? I closed it up, oops. No problem, there it is. All right, so there should be, there it is. My puzzle piece is there because now I have at least one add-on. So that is where you activate your add-ons. Over here on the 3 dots is where you go buy them, quote unquote, or add them in, and then this is right up here is where you activate them. So you activate the add-ons. Choice Eliminator 2, because that's the only one I have. Configure. So I've never used this, so it's going to ask me some questions. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this sidebar is going to help you figure out what to do. So follow the video of the one I linked with the principal, and that will take you through exactly what to do. All right, so let's see. Let's go and I'm going to show you the color coding. So let's say let's pretend this was not about me using Google Forms. Maybe this is about how my students are feeling. So if I go back, and I'm going to make a copy of this because I don't want to mess it up. So if you hit the three dots and you make a copy, so I'm going to, it's going to be similar, but then I can change it. They're not going to be linked anymore. We'll have to create a new spreadsheet. But I'm going to show you how to change this into maybe a check-in for your students. You say, how are you today? Okay. And then you could put short answer. Okay. You could ask them, how do you feel? And then they could answer according to a picture. So there's, two options. If you don't want them to skip a question, just hit the required button. And then that means that they have to answer it. That's when you see the little asterisk, the red asterisk next to a question like this. That means they have to answer it. So then, that's helpful, because if they skip important questions, then you might not get what you need from them. So let's take this one, and I'll show you a use for the color coding that would be helpful maybe this time. How are you today? I feel pretty good. Okay, and then so that's obviously a written way to do it. And then here's how do you feel with a visual way. All right, I feel worried. Sorry, I don't have my mouse. And then I'm going to submit it. All right. So now I'm going to go back to my responses, hit the spreadsheet. I'm going to create a new one. So this one will be copy of test with responses. So here we have, I feel pretty good. Or how do you feel? Worried. So let's just say, you had one column, worried, sad, hungry, bored, happy. You could color code according to what the students tell you. So you hit the top of the column, formatting, conditional formatting, and then here are your conditions. So if the text contains, and then you could type in the words that are in your form, worried, then you could have it turn orange, to alert you that that's a problem. That's something that you need to deal with, okay? Same column, add another rule. If it contains happy, then it could turn pink. So that means that kid's good to go. So like if I type the word happy here, it turned pink. So that would be a visual check. Like you could send this every couple of days to your students, just a feelings check-in. So that's just a one way you could use a form to even just assess how your students are doing in the social emotional realm, as well as the academics. So those are the basics of the Google Forms with the sheets that you could use to keep track of your students, how they're doing, what they're learning. You could even make it as like a check-in for their daily schedule. You could change your form to say, what is your name? How many, today I, read for blank minutes, and they could put in a number. Today I finished blank math. So this could also be like a daily check-in for their work that you want them to do. So tons of uses, but the visuals really make the form accessible to non-readers or to struggling readers, students that are learning to read. So if you are interested in more information about this, then click on my email and feel free to connect with me. This is the forms, the feedback form that the county would like you to fill out to find out if this was useful to you, if you have any other requests, if you'd like any additional training on this topic. And up here, there's a link to a form that would get you a one-on-one call from someone that could support you with something that you are trying to implement in your classroom. So feel free to reach out to me, Spellman_Monica at hcde.org. I'm a Google certified trainer, so anything in the Google realm I love to help out with, but also any other technology. And if you would, I created this slideshow with Slides Mania. I just love it. There's templates that look great and would make your slides look awesome. Speaking of looking awesome, let me show you one more thing really quick. The header of your form can be changed. You can choose an image. You could, so you can add a picture of yourself. You can add a picture of your classroom. You can add feelings. You can add all kinds of things to your form, so you can really make it connect with your students. But I hope you have a great day, and please connect if you have any more questions. Thank you so much for watching and listening.